I died for 8 minutes in Jerusalem, and what Jesus revealed about October 2025 will change everything you thought you knew about the end times. My name is Dr. Sarah Mitchell, 38-year-old trauma surgeon from Boston. For 20 years, I built my life on evidence, data, hard science. I've watched hundreds of people die on my operating table, heard their final gasps, seen their pupils dilate, felt their pulses fade under my fingertips, and not once, not a single time, did I believe any of them went somewhere afterward. Death was the end, a flat line, silence. I never believed in near-death experiences until October 15th when it happened to me. I was in Israel as part of a medical delegation, attending a ceremony at the Western Wall to honor healthcare workers who had served during the recent conflicts. The tension in the city was thick, security checkpoints everywhere, helicopters circling overhead. But I went anyway because I believed in the mission. I believed in helping people. I believed in science. The attack came out of nowhere. One moment I was standing in the plaza, surrounded by colleagues, listening to a rabbi speak about healing and hope. The next moment, the world exploded. A massive blast wave threw me backward into a stone wall. My skull cracked against ancient limestone. Everything went white, then red, then dark. But I didn't lose consciousness. That's the terrifying part. I remained completely, impossibly aware. I could see myself lying on the ground, blood pooling beneath my head, my body twisted at an impossible angle. I watched a fellow surgeon, David, someone I'd known for 15 years, drop to his knees beside me. I watched him press his fingers to my neck, searching for a pulse. I watched his face go pale when he couldn't find one. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him I was right there, that I was still conscious, that I could see everything. But I had no voice, no body. I was ripped away from myself and taken somewhere else. The transition was instant. No tunnel of light, no gradual fading. 1 second I was watching David attempt CPR on my broken body in Jerusalem, and the next second I was suspended in a space that defied every law of physics I'd ever studied. Darkness, but not empty darkness. Pregnant darkness, like the moment before creation. I became aware of sensations I'd never experienced. Emotions became tangible objects. Fear wrapped around me like cold metal bands. Shame pressed down on my chest like a lead blanket. Every mistake I'd ever made, every patient I'd lost, every harsh word I'd spoken to a resident, every time I'd chosen my career over my daughter, every moment of arrogance, every flash of judgment crashed into me simultaneously. I was drowning in my own life, and then I heard a voice. Not with ears. I had no ears. But I heard it in the core of whatever I was. A voice both gentle and absolutely terrifying in its authority. Do you know why you are here? The question shattered me. I didn't know. I thought I'd known why I existed. I thought my purpose was clear. Save lives, advance medicine, teach the next generation. But in that moment, stripped of my body, my credentials, my reputation, I realized I had no idea why I existed at all. I never believed in you, I thought, directing the words toward the source of the voice. I'm a scientist. I don't do faith. And the voice responded, I know. That's why I'm going to show you. The darkness began to shift. Colors appeared that don't exist in the human visual spectrum. I can't describe them to you because English doesn't have the words. Imagine if blue had a sound, if green had a taste, if love was a color you could see. Everything was alive. Everything was conscious. Everything was connected. And then he appeared. I want to be very clear about this. I'm not a religious person. I've never read the Bible cover to cover. I couldn't quote you a single verse before this happened. But the moment I saw him, I knew exactly who he was. There was no question, no doubt. Jesus. He wasn't the pale European figure from Renaissance paintings. His presence was overwhelming. Light poured from him, but it wasn't blinding. It was piercing. It reached inside me and illuminated every hidden thing, every secret thought, every buried shame, every moment of pride I'd wrapped around myself like armor. His eyes, God, his eyes, they looked at me with such intensity that I felt completely exposed and completely known. Everything I'd ever done, everything I'd ever thought, everything I'd ever feared. He saw it all. And I couldn't hide. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to disappear. I expected judgment. I expected condemnation. I'd spent my entire adult life dismissing him, mocking people who believed, treating faith as a crutch for the weak-minded. I'd built my identity on rational thought, on empirical evidence, on human achievement. And now I was standing before the God I'd denied, completely defenseless. But what happened next broke me in a way I still can't fully articulate. He smiled. Not a smug smile, not an I told you so smile. A smile of pure, overwhelming love. The kind of love that doesn't make sense. The kind of love that isn't earned or deserved. The kind of love that simply is. "Sarah!" he said, and hearing my name in his voice shattered every wall I had ever built. "You've spent your whole life trying to save people, trying to fix what was broken, trying to prove you were worthy." His words weren't accusatory. They were gentle, sad almost, like he was grieving for all the years I'd wasted trying to earn value I already possessed. "But you've been so afraid," he continued, "afraid that if you stopped performing, stopped achieving, stopped proving yourself, you'd discover there was nothing underneath, that you were empty. Tears I didn't have streamed down a face I no longer possessed. Because he was right. He was absolutely right. My entire life had been driven by a terror of inadequacy, a fear that I wasn't enough, that I needed to earn my existence through accomplishment. "I'm so sorry," I managed to say, though I don't know how I formed the words. "I'm so sorry I never believed. I'm so sorry I wasted my life." He reached out his hand toward me, and the moment he touched what remained of me, I felt something I'd never experienced in 38 years of existence. Peace. Not the absence of conflict, not the temporary relief of a vacation or a good meal or a successful surgery, but deep, foundational, unshakable peace. The kind of peace that says you're known, and you are loved, and you're exactly where you belong. "You haven't wasted anything," he said. "Every patient you saved was a gift. Every student you trained carries a piece of my heart. Every time you fought for life, you were fighting for what I created. You were doing my work even when you didn't know my name." "I don't understand," I said. "How can you love me when I denied you? How can you forgive me when I spent 20 years mocking everything you stand for?" His smile deepened, "Because that's who I am. I don't love you because you earned it. I love you because I made you. You're mine, Sarah. You've always been mine. Even when you ran from me, I was there. Every surgery you performed, I guided your hands. Every life you saved, I celebrated with you. Every time you felt that drive to heal, that was me calling you home. Something inside me collapsed. Every defense I'd ever constructed against faith, against vulnerability, against the possibility of divine love, it all crumbled into nothing. And in that nothing, I found everything. Why am I here? I asked again. But this time the question meant something different. Not why do I exist, but why have you brought me here now? His expression shifted. The warmth remained, but something else entered his eyes. Urgency. Concern. A weight that suggested the answer to my question carried significance far beyond my personal story. "Because I'm sending you back," he said. "I'm giving you a second chance, but not just for yourself. I have a message you need to deliver." My awareness sharpened. The space around us seemed to crystallize, like reality was focusing itself on this moment. "The world is approaching a critical juncture," Jesus continued. "October 2025 is going to be a month that shifts the trajectory of human history. What happens in the next 14 months will determine the path humanity takes into the end times." End times? The phrase should have sounded melodramatic, ridiculous. But coming from him, in that place, with the weight of eternity pressing down around us, it landed with the force of absolute truth. "I need you to understand something," he said, and his voice carried a gravity that made the darkness around us tremble. "Israel is not just a nation, it's a prophetic clock, a timepiece I set in motion thousands of years ago. And in October 2025, something is going to happen during the Jewish High Holy Days that will wake people up to how close we are to the final chapter." "What kind of something?" I asked, and I felt fear creeping back in around the edges of the peace he'd given me. He looked at me with those piercing eyes, and I saw sadness there. deep, ancient sadness. War, he said quietly. Not the conflicts you've seen before. Not the skirmishes and bombings and terrorist attacks. A war that will draw in nations. A war that will make people ask if this is the beginning of the end. My mind reeled. I thought of the tension I'd felt in Jerusalem before the attack. The helicopters, the checkpoints, the fear in people's eyes. But this isn't a message of despair, Jesus said, and his voice strengthened again. This is a message of preparation, of warning, of hope. Because even in the darkest times, I am still sovereign. Even when the world falls apart, I am still holding it together. And those who know me, those who trust me, they don't have to fear. He paused and the space around us shifted again. Colors began to swirl, forming images I couldn't quite grasp. I'm going to show you what's coming, he said. Not to terrify you, but to equip you. So that when you go back, when you wake up in that hospital bed, with doctors standing over you trying to figure out how you survived, you'll know what to tell people. You'll know how to help them prepare. How do I prepare for war? I asked, and my voice was small again, helpless. You don't prepare for war, he said gently. You prepare hearts. You tell people the truth. You help them understand that what's coming isn't random. It's not chaos. It's the birth pains of a new creation. And birth is painful, but it leads to life. He extended his hand again, and this time I knew he was about to show me something. Something that would change everything. The first thing I need you to understand, he said, is that October 2025 begins during the Jewish High Holy Days. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. These aren't just religious holidays. They're prophetic markers. Appointed times I established for specific purposes. And what happens during those days is going to set everything else in motion. I reached out, ready to take his hand, ready to see whatever he wanted to show me. But I need you to remember something, he said, and his eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that burned. When you tell people about this, some will believe you immediately. Others will mock you. Some will say you hallucinated from the head trauma. Others will accuse you of fear-mongering. But you cannot let their reactions determine your obedience. You have to tell them what I show you, regardless of the cost. I'll tell them, I promised, and I meant it with every fiber of whatever I'd become. Good, he said, and then he showed me. The vision crashed into me like a tidal wave. I saw Jerusalem from above, exactly as it had looked that morning before the attack. The golden dome of the rock gleaming in the sun. The western wall crowded with worshippers. The narrow streets of the old city packed with people going about their daily lives. My city, my colleagues, my world. But then everything changed. A date appeared in my awareness like a timestamp burning itself into my consciousness. October 2nd, 2025. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And what I saw next made every instinct I developed as a trauma surgeon scream in protest. Missiles. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. Launching from the north. From Lebanon. From Syria. Streaking through the sky like falling stars in reverse. Except these stars carried death. Israel's Iron Dome activated. Interceptors racing upward. Explosions lighting up the atmosphere. I'd watched 4th of July fireworks over Boston Harbor my whole life. This looked nothing like celebration. This was annihilation. And there were too many. The mathematics of defense collapsed against the mathematics of attack. I watched buildings I'd walked past that morning crumble like sandcastles. I watched people running through streets choked with smoke and debris. Their screams silent in this vision, but somehow more terrible for it. I watched the same plaza where I'd been standing when I died, where David had tried to save me, become a crater. The ancient stones that had survived millennia reduced to rubble in seconds. The world I'd left just moments ago had transformed into hell. But what I saw next made that devastation look small. And then the vision pulled back, expanding my view. I saw other nations responding. I saw alliances forming and fracturing. I saw the United States scrambling to position forces. I saw Russia and Iran making moves. I saw China watching and calculating. I saw Europe divided and paralyzed. This is the beginning, Jesus said, his voice cutting through the chaos of what I was seeing. This is the moment when the world realizes we've entered a new era. When people start asking if the end has come. Is it? I asked. Is this the end? He was quiet for a moment, and in that silence I felt the weight of eternity pressing down. It's the beginning of the end, he finally said. The final chapter hasn't been written yet, but the prologue is starting, and what happens in the months and years after October 2025 will depend on how humanity responds, whether they turn to me or turn away, whether they choose faith or fear, whether they see this as judgment or as the last call to repentance. The vision continued, but I could feel something shifting, a pulling sensation, like I was being drawn backward, away from this place, away from him. No, I said, panic rising. I'm not ready. I don't understand everything yet. Show me more. Tell me more. You'll remember what you need to remember, Jesus said, and his voice was fading, growing distant. Trust me, Sarah. I'll be with you every step. You won't be alone. But what do I tell people? I shouted, though the distance between us was growing impossibly vast. What's the most important thing they need to know? His answer reached me from across an infinite gulf, but it was clear, crystal clear. Tell them I'm coming soon. Tell them to be ready. Tell them October 2025 is just the beginning, and they need to decide now where they stand. Tell them there's still time, but not much time. Tell them I love them more than they can imagine, and I'm giving them every chance to come home. And then his voice faded completely, and the darkness returned. But this time, the darkness was different. It was heavy, physical, painful. I could feel my body again, and it hurt. Every nerve ending screamed. My head throbbed with a pain so intense I thought I might die all over again. My lungs burned as they sucked in air. My heart hammered against my ribs like it was trying to escape. I heard voices, human voices, frantic and shocked. She has a pulse! Someone was shouting. Oh my God, she has a pulse! My eyes wouldn't open. I couldn't move, but I could hear everything. That's impossible, another voice said. I checked her myself. She was gone. She'd been gone for 8 minutes. Check again, the first voice demanded. She's breathing. She's alive. I wanted to tell them I was okay. I wanted to explain what had just happened, but my body wouldn't cooperate. I was trapped inside myself, conscious but paralyzed, knowing I'd been somewhere impossible and seen something terrible and beautiful and terrifying, and knowing that when I finally woke up, when I finally opened my eyes and saw the faces of my colleagues staring down at me in disbelief, everything would change. Because I'd been given a message, and I couldn't stay silent about what Jesus had shown me, no matter what it cost. October 2025 was coming, and the world had no idea what was about to begin. I thought that was the end of the revelation. I felt myself being pulled back toward my body, toward the pain and chaos of that plaza in Jerusalem. But Jesus wasn't finished with me yet. Before the connection between us severed completely, he extended his hand toward the heavens one final time. In an instant, everything shifted. I was pulled back into that sacred space, and our intimate encounter transformed into something prophetic and overwhelming. Visions began to unfold before my eyes, not like watching a screen, but as if I was living inside them, experiencing multiple realities simultaneously. Then the scene shifted again. And this time, what I saw defied everything I thought I understood about reality. I saw Jerusalem during the holiest days of the Jewish calendar, the period from Yom Kippur through Sukkot in October 2025. But I wasn't just seeing the physical city anymore. It was like someone had given me X-ray vision into a dimension that exists right alongside ours, invisible, but utterly real. The spiritual realm became visible, layered over the physical world like two transparencies stacked together. And above the ancient city, I witnessed a battle that most human eyes will never see. Darkness pressed in from all sides, thick and suffocating. Not like the absence of light, but like a living presence with intent and malice. It was trying to overwhelm something, trying to break through a barrier I could barely perceive. And in that darkness, I felt the concentrated hatred of millennia, all focused on this one city, This one moment in time, Jesus' voice cut through the chaos, carrying the weight of eternity. During the holiest days, darkness will intensify its assault. The enemy knows the significance of this time. What happens in the physical realm mirrors the spiritual warfare that has been raging since the beginning. I wanted to look away. I wanted to close my eyes, except I no longer had eyes to close. I was forced to watch as waves of shadow crashed against an invisible barrier of light, surrounding Israel, like ocean waves against a seawall. Every impact sent tremors through both realms. The intensity was staggering, overwhelming, like standing next to a jet engine. But then I noticed something that gave me a fragment of hope. Every prayer, every act of worship from believers worldwide seemed to strengthen that protective shield. I could see them. Threads of light rising from every continent. From churches in Africa, living rooms in America, street corners in Brazil, all converging on Jerusalem like a web of divine protection. Yet the darkness wasn't retreating. It was gathering, consolidating its forces for something larger. I could feel the spiritual pressure building, like the atmosphere before a massive thunderstorm breaks. That heavy silence when you know something terrible is coming, but you don't know when. Then Jesus showed me something that made my heart race. Text. During the festival of Sukkot, specifically around Hoshana Rabbah on October 13th, I saw a moment of crisis. The details weren't entirely literal. They came in symbolic language, the way prophetic visions often do. I saw the nation of Israel standing at a crossroads, facing a test that would require divine intervention. The specifics remained veiled, but the message was crystal clear. This wouldn't be the final battle, but it would be a significant acceleration point in the prophetic timeline. This generation is living in the end of the end times, Jesus explained, his words resonating through every fiber of my being. The regathering of Israel, the alignment of nations, the spiritual blindness lifting from Jewish eyes. These are the signs the prophet spoke about. October 2025 marks an intensification, not a conclusion. He gestured and I saw believers around the world, millions of faces from every nation, tribe, and tongue. Some were praying fervently, tears streaming down their faces. Others seemed oblivious to the spiritual reality unfolding around them, going about their daily routines as if nothing was happening. The contrast was stark and heartbreaking. Then the visions changed direction entirely. And this time, Jesus wasn't showing me Jerusalem or nations or spiritual warfare. He was showing me people, ordinary people. People like you. Jesus looked at me with such profound love and urgency that I felt my very soul laid bare before him. And in that moment, I understood that everything he'd shown me about October 2025, about the conflict and the spiritual battle, all of it was secondary to what he was about to say next. My people must be ready spiritually, he said, and his voice carried both tenderness and fierce urgency. The events of October 2025 are not meant to create fear, but to awaken those who are sleeping. This is not just about Israel. This is about my global church, my beloved bride preparing herself for what is coming. Text. And then he showed me what that preparation actually looks like. I expected complicated instructions, elaborate rituals, complex theological requirements. I'm a doctor. I understand protocols and procedures. I thought spiritual preparation would work the same way. I was completely wrong. What I saw was devastatingly simple. And that simplicity made it both more accessible and more challenging than any medical procedure I'd ever performed. I saw authentic repentance. Not the religious kind where you say the right words on Sunday and go back to your old life on Monday. Real repentance. People falling to their knees in their kitchens, in their cars, in their offices, genuinely surrendering their lives to Christ for the first time or the 10,000th time. I saw forgiveness being extended to people who didn't deserve it. Wives forgiving husbands who'd betrayed them. Children forgiving parents who'd abandoned them. Friends forgiving friends who'd spread lies. And every act of forgiveness created more light, more protection, more strength in the spiritual realm. I saw prayer meetings springing up everywhere, not just in churches, in living rooms where families gathered after dinner, in parks where strangers met weekly, in online video calls connecting believers across continents, people crying out for divine protection and intervention with the kind of desperation I'd only seen in emergency rooms when someone was fighting for their life. And I saw Christians rediscovering something the modern church had almost forgotten: the power of fasting, setting aside comfort and convenience to seek God's face with the kind of devotion that says, "I need you more than I need food." The vision showed me families gathering to pray together, parents teaching their children about the biblical significance of Israel and the prophetic timeline we're living in. I saw strangers becoming spiritual family, supporting each other through the challenges ahead. The overwhelming message was unity, love, and radical dependence on divine strength rather than human solutions. And then Jesus showed me the most critical part, the thing that would determine who survives what's coming. Jesus revealed the heart behind these warnings. Those who are spiritually prepared will be shielded by my love, not because they are perfect, but because they have chosen to remain close to me, to trust me, to walk in obedience even when the world seems to be falling apart around them. That's when the most intense moment of the entire encounter occurred. Jesus pulled me close, his presence more real than anything I'd ever experienced on earth. And he said something I will never forget as long as I live. "I am coming soon. October 2025 is one beat of the prophetic drum, but the rhythm is accelerating. Tell them that my love is stronger than any darkness they will face. Tell them that fear is not from me, but faith, hope, and love will carry them through what is ahead. Tell them to choose me completely, not partially, not conveniently, but with their whole hearts." The weight of his words crushed me and lifted me simultaneously. I felt the enormity of the responsibility, the privilege of hearing this message directly from him. And then, before I could even respond, I felt myself being pulled away. The return to my physical body was jarring and painful. One moment I was in the overwhelming presence of divine love and prophetic revelation. The next I was gasping for air on a stone floor in Jerusalem, surrounded by concerned faces speaking rapid Hebrew. My heart was pounding, my entire body trembling. Someone was checking my pulse. Another person was praying loudly, and I could hear sirens in the distance. The rabbi who had been leading the Yom Kippur ceremony knelt beside me, his ancient eyes filled with concern and something else. Recognition, maybe, as if he knew I had experienced something beyond medical explanation. "You were gone," he said in broken English. "Your spirit left, but now you are back. What did you see?" I couldn't answer him immediately. My mind was reeling, trying to process the transition from divine encounter back to harsh earthly reality. But one thing was absolutely certain in that moment. I was different. The skeptical doctor who had arrived in Israel looking for spiritual experiences as tourist curiosities no longer existed. That version of me had died during those minutes when my heart stopped beating. I had been given a mission, a message that I couldn't keep to myself even if I wanted to. The urgency Jesus had conveyed wasn't about creating panic. It was about awakening preparation, about calling people back to genuine faith before the prophetic timeline accelerates further. Over the following days, as I recovered physically in a Jerusalem hospital, I couldn't stop thinking about October 2025. The visions played in my mind on repeat: the spiritual warfare, the crisis moment during Hoshana Rabbah, the global church being called to prepare, the promise of divine protection for those who remain close to Christ. I tried to explain it to the doctors, to my family back home, to anyone who would listen. Most thought I had suffered some kind of oxygen deprivation hallucination, but I knew better. What I experienced was more real than the hospital bed I was lying in, more certain than any medical diagnosis I'd ever given. When I finally returned home, I made a decision. I couldn't stay silent about what Jesus revealed to me. My entire life purpose had been redefined in those moments on the other side. I wasn't just a doctor anymore. I was a messenger, someone who had been entrusted with a warning and a promise that the world desperately needed to hear. So what does this mean for you? For all of us living in these prophetic times? Let me put this in terms that make sense. I'm a trauma surgeon. When a patient comes into my ER with minutes to live, I don't have time for theoretical discussions about treatment options. I need to act, immediately, decisively, based on what I know will save their life. And right now, Jesus is telling me that humanity is in the trauma bay. October 2025 is approaching faster than we realize. From Yom Kippur on October 1st through Hoshana Rabbah on October 13th, we're entering a period of significant spiritual intensity. This doesn't mean the world is ending that month, but it does mean we're witnessing another acceleration in the prophetic timeline that Jesus himself confirmed. So here's the question you need to answer, and you need to answer it honestly. Am I spiritually ready? Not theoretically ready. Not religiously ready. Not I go to church sometimes ready. Genuinely prepared in your heart and relationship with God. Because Jesus made something crystal clear to me. The protection he promises isn't based on our perfection. It's based on our proximity to him, our willingness to trust him completely, our choice to stay close when everything else is falling apart. So what does that preparation actually look like? Let me break it down the way I'd explain a treatment plan to a patient. First, commit to genuine prayer, not the quick requests you mumble before meals, not the desperate bargaining you do when you're in trouble. Deep, honest conversations with God, where you lay your fears and failures before him, where you stop pretending you have it all together and admit you're terrified and confused and desperately need help. Second, seek forgiveness for the things you've been carrying, the guilt, the shame, the secret sins that you think nobody knows about but that are eating you alive from the inside. Jesus knows. He's always known. And he's ready to forgive if you're willing to ask. That's the paradox that breaks people. The hardest part isn't God's willingness to forgive. It's our willingness to admit we need it. Third, forgive those who have wounded you. I know that's hard. God, do I know that's hard? Some of you are carrying hurt so deep that forgiveness feels impossible. Your father abandoned you. Your spouse betrayed you. Your friend destroyed your reputation. And you've built your entire identity around that wound, around the justified anger, around the right to hold a grudge. But remember what Jesus told me. Do you want to be free? Then forgive. It's not about excusing what they did. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about releasing the poison that unforgiveness creates in your own soul. Because that poison, it's killing you. And Jesus is offering you the antidote. Renew your commitment to faith. Maybe you've been coasting spiritually, showing up to church occasionally, but never really engaging with God on a deeper level. Or maybe you've drifted away entirely, convinced that God doesn't care about you anymore. He does. He's calling you back. The divine love I experienced wasn't exclusive to me. It's available to everyone who genuinely seeks him. Share this message with others. You don't have to be a preacher or a theologian. Simply tell people what you've heard today. I learned about prophetic events happening in October 2025, and I think we should be praying and preparing spiritually. That simple act of sharing could save someone's eternal life. Gather with other believers. Find a community of people who take faith seriously, who pray together, who support each other spiritually. The vision Jesus showed me emphasized unity and collective spiritual strength. We're not meant to face what's coming alone. And finally, the most important thing Jesus told me, hold on to hope. Yes, there are challenges ahead. Yes, spiritual warfare is intensifying. Yes, the prophetic clock is ticking faster than ever before. But the ultimate message Jesus gave me wasn't fear, it was love. Let me tell you what I felt when he touched me in that place, beyond death. I felt loved in a way that made every human love I'd ever experienced feel like a shadow of the real thing. Loved not because I was good enough or smart enough or successful enough. Loved simply because I existed, because he made me, because I was his. That love is stronger than any darkness we will encounter. His protection is real for those who remain close to him. His promise of ultimate victory isn't wishful thinking. It's certainty. It's physics. It's the fundamental law of the spiritual universe. I died for 8 minutes in Jerusalem, and Jesus sent me back with a message. October 2025 is coming. The spiritual battle is real. The events he showed me will unfold exactly as he described. But divine love is greater than any conflict. Divine protection is available to everyone who asks. And divine victory is assured for those who choose him completely. So here's my final question for you, and I need you to answer it honestly. Right now, in the privacy of your own heart. Are you listening? Are you ready? Because the prophetic drum is beating faster. The time between beats is shrinking, and the moment is coming very soon when the music stops and we all have to choose where we stand. The choice is yours, but the time to decide is now. Not next week. Not after you get your life together. Not when you feel more spiritual or more worthy. Now. Don't wait until the missiles are in the air to fall to your knees. Don't wait until the crisis hits to seek God. Don't wait until October 2025 to start praying. Prepare your heart today. Commit your life to him completely. And trust that the same Jesus who reached out his hand to me, who loved me despite 20 years of denial and mockery and arrogance, is reaching out his hand to you right now. He's not waiting for you to be perfect. He's waiting for you to be willing. I'll continue sharing what Jesus reveals, because this message is too important to keep quiet. The prophetic timeline is unfolding exactly as the ancient prophets predicted. We have the privilege of living in these extraordinary times, and we have the responsibility to be spiritually prepared for what's ahead, not because God needs us to be, but because we need God to be. May his love surround you. May his protection cover you. And may you find the courage to choose Christ completely, not just for October 2025, but for every day of your life from this moment forward. Because once you experience what I experienced, once you feel that love and see that light and understand that truth, you'll realize something that changes everything. The world's chaos isn't the end of the story. It's the birth pains of a new beginning. And those who stay close to him won't just survive what's coming. They'll be transformed by it.